Good morning, Moms of Master Books. We're here in my schoolroom, and Randy's the cameraman this time, so he gets to be behind the scenes. And he got me up front and center. So this is our schoolroom. For anybody that didn't see last year's, we've made a few tweaks, but nothing too major. So I guess we'll just start with the tour, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritties of how I organize and that sort of thing. So we'll start, I don't know, we have our bookshelves. I have two things of bookshelves. Our family loves to collect things when we go to Florida, and the boys love all their minerals and that sort of thing, so they like to pick these things up and study them throughout the year. So we keep a collection out here, plus I have boxes over in there of more of their goodies when they want to really get into it. Cool story, one of the things that we have in here is a snakehead fossil that we found in our driveway in New York. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got little lines on it. It's just kind of an incredible little thing. Oh, you know what's that? I pulled up the wrong one. There's one that looks like it. This was it. This is the snakehead. You can see the snout, and it was pretty cool because it was in a rock, and the rock kind of just broke away from it. And that was just in a rock in our driveway. Okay, so last year I had talked about, I have two messy kids, and we just trying to get, no, we had one messy kid, and we were really trying to figure out the best place to put that child. And so we ended up putting the messy student here and the neater students over there. So here's the thing about homeschooling. You never know what kind of year it's going to be. So the messy child got it together. I'm not sure really if it was because he was here or not, but he was fantastic, neat as a pin. But one of my neat children kind of fell off the wagon. I don't know what happened. So what a disaster all school year long. So we just want to kind of test this theory. Randy always talks about growth hacking. So we're going to growth hack here a little bit, the schoolroom. We swapped the students. So my youngest is going to be here, and we'll see if this is the magic desk that makes him into the neat child again. And then we're putting our other student over there. So we'll see. So this is how we have our desk set up. I have other curriculum. His curriculum is up here, along with books and stuff that he's going to be reading throughout the year. I let them do whatever they want with their bulletin boards. I don't care what they look like. The only thing is they have to have a spot for their daily goals. I print off a quarter at a time, but we'll look more in detail after that's over. So this is something new this year that I got to put in all the art related and messy stuff. And I invested this year in a bunch of these. They're clear, you can see what's in them. They're a little bit pricey, but they're from Totally Tiffany. They're a scrapbooking thing. And so I got a few different sizes and styles. I have one that fits all of our paintbrushes, even the real long ones. One that fits rulers and taller things. And so I did invest in some of that. I have our markers in one. She makes some great stuff, and what I like is you can see through them so you know what's in them. So this will end up a disaster constantly. So I'll be constantly trying to tell the boys to put their stuff away. So now we have this student here, and this is all his schoolwork. This is just extra supplies. This year, Jamin has a printer hooked up to his computer. All of his school stuff, all of his little awkward transition, all his stuff is, school stuff is up there. We do have a special needs student who, he has fetal alcohol syndrome, and he's profoundly affected, and so we have to do special things for him. So this is, a lot of people ask questions about this. This is where he does his schoolwork. As you can see, we keep it empty other than when he's actually doing work. This year we added the slider thing instead of just the curtain on it. We do have to put some sort of wire above because he has impulse control issues. And so before we actually put something across the top, he was climbing up to reach stuff and get into stuff that he shouldn't have. So anyway, the purpose of this is so that he can actually concentrate and do his schoolwork because he's too distracted by everything around. And so that's why we have it, but we can always open it. I can be sitting at my desk and be keeping an eye on him. And we give him the work as we go along in the day so he's not overwhelmed by all these books. And so this is where we keep his stuff. So more bookshelves. And then this year we're trying something new. 2 of the boys share a computer. And so last year we kept it over at one of their desks, but it makes it really difficult. I don't know if any of you have this issue, but sharing among the children isn't always fun. And so they fight over the computer. So this year I decided to move the stuff that they need for their computer over here. I'm not sure I'm gonna love it because I'm afraid that their mess and all is gonna end up on my desk. But maybe that's a good thing. Again, this is one of those growth hacking things. We're gonna try it, see how it works. Maybe I'll be able to stay on top of their mess a little bit better having it here, or I'll just be totally frustrated. So the rest of my schoolroom is my craft room, which I am a scrapbooker, and so that's what all of that is. And then this is my office, and so this is where I spend hours and hours and hours writing curriculum. But let's get to the fun stuff. So the system that I'm going to show you is something that has developed over, we've been homeschooling over 20 years now. I don't know the exact number of years, but it's well over 20 by now.
Almost 25.
25, almost 25. I don't know, for a long time. We have graduated 5 students so far. And a lot of the form and function that goes into Master Books has been created out of the experience that I have, not only homeschooling my own children, but Randy and I were chapter leaders of our local homeschool Leah group in New York. We did that for I don't know how many years, and so we had a lot of discussions, helped a lot of people with curriculum. And then we owned our own curriculum business, so we sold, most of the major publishers, lots and lots of minor ones. And so I started off doing all the customer service. We sold a couple $1 million a year worth of homeschool curriculum all over the United States. And so in that process of talking with other moms, I got to understand a lot about how homeschoolers use the curriculum and the things that were frustrating to them. Of course, I couldn't do anything about any of that because we were just a reseller, but it gave me a real good look into the market. And so one of the big takeaways in it all is that no family homeschools the same. Their needs change. The same family doesn't even necessarily homeschool the same way year after year after year. And so we want our curriculum to be adaptable. So what I'm going to show you is, this is a system that I've developed that works for my family. And I don't always use it the exact same way every single year, but this is the nuts and bolts of it. So if this isn't the way you do it, that's fantastic. We want you to adapt it however it best meets your needs, but we want to show you just some ideas. So what happens when I get a teacher guide, and I meant to grab one. I have one. Okay, I have one here. So what I will do, this might not be because I don't think a good one because this doesn't have answers in the back. Let me try this one. Okay, I've got one. Right? Does this have? No, you're gonna have to hand me one. Sorry about that. I meant to have one ahead of time. So I get myself a teacher guide, or all the teacher guides. I'll have a stack of them here of all the kids' teacher guides. And we just have, sometimes I'll do it myself, but sometimes I call in Randy and we just spend some time together pulling stuff out. So what I do is I go to the back of the book And I'm going to go to show you here the quizzes, tests, and answer keys. So I just find, okay, this is from here back is what I'm going to pull out. And what I have found is it is easiest to pull these out if you kind of fold back like this. Like I said, we're going to get into some nitty-gritties today. You fold it back like that at the edge. This last page is always a little tricky because it tends to not follow the same fold as the rest. So I'm going to do that hard and fast on the first one, and then I'm gonna push down on all the others. And then that way we've kind of separated the chunks that we're going to work from. And then what I do is I just grab a few at a time. I don't try to pull big amounts. I mean, this would be about the most. That's 237 to 246. You can do the math. And then I'm going to just start to pull. And I'm going to try to get it to go on the perf marks. I would rather it go deeper than the perf marks than, of course, too close to those holes. So I'm just going to do it real slow and real methodically, pulling them out, setting them down, pulling them out, setting them down. And so I'm going to work my way until I have those sections pulled out. So that's the process that I use. I will use, and I'm going to show you some of my best loved tools. This is what I use for my straight edge. So if I'm really having some difficulty or I want to get it going, or one of them kind of pulls in a little bit, I'll run this down. And so this is what I use for a straight edge. So I love this little tool for that. So that's that. Then what I do is my system, and this is something that I borrowed from the ACE system, where the kids score their own basic work. So they have a folder, and I should have shown this is part of my system. So I'm going to get up and show you over here. So this is where we keep all of our answer keys. So normally that binder would be in here. And so our answer keys are here. When a student does their regular daily work, let's say they finish a page of math and they want to see if they got the problems right. They're going to come here. And they're going to lay their math book here. They're going to get out. Here I've got a Algebra 1 Solutions Manual. And they're going to look up their answers, mark them right or wrong. Any that are wrong, they're going to go back and they're going to fix. And then they'll come back up again and see if they've gotten them right again. And they'll just repeat that until they've corrected the whole page. So my students score all of their own work. With the exception of Kurt, we do his for him. And so what I'm going to do...
Somebody asked about the tool, if you could show the tool a little bit.
The tool, sure. I'm going to go back through all of these tools, any that I mentioned. So I'll do a little bit of, it's a U-line. You can see it better with that's where we got it from. This is left over from our Pennywise learning days when we had a curriculum company.
Basically just a razor blade?
It's just a razor blade. Yeah, in fact, I can pull this out. It's, that's all it is. It's a straight, you can see the straight razor blade with a cover over it. That's all that is. And so you can just replace the razor blades.
So they could use a regular box cutter.
You can use a box cutter, utility knife, anything, same thing. I just like this because it's nice and condensed. It's easy to use. It doesn't slip. Like sometimes I accidentally hit that little button on box cutters. And so I like one of these. You can probably buy them from Uline, but usually that's in bulk because Uline sells to businesses. So if you know a business, see if you can get some of those from them. So that's my straight edge that I use. Okay, so we have their thing. This is how we set up. So I have science, answer keys, history, language lessons. So this is how we set it up. And I just do this for each kid. My things are not fancy. I'm kind of at the point, especially this year with all the cancer treatment, I just grabbed whatever worked for inserts. You can get fancy. I ran out of them, and so this is one of my favorite things. I have I buy these. This is a scrapbooking, something that I started buying for my scrapbook stuff, and they're great for making labels on it. So this one says language arts. My handwriting isn't the best. They're removable, and you can just slap them right on a page, and you've got it. And again, this is in one of my favorite hacks, homeschool hacks. So all the answers to the regular lessons go into my kids' answer key binder. They do not keep this at their desk. They keep that over there at the scoring station. My children each also have a binder. I probably should have done this first. They each have their own binder. This came from Not Consumed. So we are not going to give links to outside stuff, but I will tell you what I'm using. And so this was last year. She had a little free packet that you could get, little printables to start your school year off. So I just kept it from last year. Okay, so they have their daily schedule. This includes chores. It includes bedtime, dinner, all sorts of things. So each student has their very own daily schedule that's been created just for them. Oh, I add this. This is just, okay, so one of the things that we're doing this year is I've split up them helping with Kurt. Kurt's a full-time job because he's not able to direct his own life. He just cannot self-regulate. He just can't. And so it's really a lot on me, especially right now going through the cancer treatment. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm going to pay the boys to help with the schoolwork. So what I've done is I've divided up the responsibility. So Jamin has 2 subjects that he's going to be in charge of. Gabriel has 2 subjects and Elijah has 1 subject. And then they also have assigned times of the day where they're doing outside activities with Kurt because he has to have 24/7 supervision. Otherwise he becomes a danger to himself and to everybody around him just because he doesn't have normal fears and understanding, that you can get hurt, and he doesn't have normal impulse control. So that's something that I've worked into their schedules that we're doing different this year that we haven't done in the past. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing that goes into their binder is the school year. And so that gives, family birthdays go on this, vacation days. We're taking off this year some of the biblical holidays. We're not real good about doing it, in a real exaggerated way. But I did want to focus a little bit on them just so that the kids can have a little bit of awareness because the last couple of years we haven't taken them off. And the other thing that it does is it allows a little bit of padding built into the school year. And so this is our schedule that we run September to June. We follow still our New York plan even though we're in Arkansas now and they already start school. So they've just got extra paper in there. This is another little thing that I like to do. So I'm not going to open it because I'm just going to cover it because it's got some addresses on it. This little folder right here is Elijah's personal stuff. One of the things that I have found that does help keep things a little bit neater is to give them a folder that they can put their personal little notes. Like he's got letters from people that he's not been a very good pen pal this summer. So he's got some people he needs to write to. He was very interested in the conservation status of various animals. And so he wanted to know what was endangered, what wasn't. And so I went online, printed him off a list. And so that's one of the things that he keeps in here. So this is their personal binder. And that's what's in it. And I'll tailor that to the particular student. Okay, so now we get back into nitty-gritties. This is a binder, the quiz and test answer keys. I keep this up here. So this is mine. And Randy has been helping in the last few years. He asked what he could help me with this in the schoolroom. And grading quizzes and tests is something that I told him he could be a big help. So some years he has actually taken over and done all the grading, and sometimes I jump in there if my schedule is freed up and I help too. So sometimes it's a group effort and sometimes it's his. So I just keep it. Again, it's this is still, he's still finishing up a couple lessons in algebra from last year, so that's what that is. So what I do is I divide up, each student has their name here, and then these are the answers to the quizzes and tests, and again I use those handy dandy little removable things, so if they're not super specific I can carry it over to the next year if I want and reuse them. So that's just by student and then marked by subject.
Can I add that scoring is one of the hardest things to keep up with?
Yes, it is.
And by taking a little bit of time and organizing it the way you have, it makes it easy for me to step in and help.
Yes.
If you didn't do this, there's almost no way I could just come in and help.
Right. So when I'm pulling out from the back of the book, I usually have these open and I start adding them in. I don't add, when I'm doing it, I don't add these. What I do is okay, right now I'm working on all of Elijah's subjects. And so all the answers to the quizzes and tests, when I pull them out by subject, I just put them in. And then I come back later and put the tabs in. So that's how I personally do it. That way I don't get Elijah's and Gabriel's and all the different ones mixed all in together. So I set this all up. This just stays in from year to year with his name on it. And then I put them in, and then later I come back and add the tabs to divide up the individual subjects per child. So this is mine that I keep, and then we get those out when we need to grade stuff. And then
on your grading, somebody asked, you give them an overall grade at the end of the year. How do you do grading?
I'll actually, I'll show you. I'll show you when I get this out. Okay. So, and a lot of these, okay, so this says 2019 to 2000. I just have a Word document and I just change out the school year and their grade and print a new one and tuck it in the front.
And your system, you've been developing a lot of this for over 20 plus years of homeschooling. Exactly.
So I'm going to show you what's in here. So this front packet is current stuff. So stuff that I want to look at. This I just need to put away somewhere. But I put in here, this is our Arkansas, I filed my legal stuff, so I just got to 3-hole punch that and put it where it needs to go. I use a spreadsheet, and this helps me know what exactly I still need to do to set my kids up. So right now I've done some of it, but I haven't listed notes off. I haven't gone through and done a full evaluation of what I have and haven't done. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look through each of these students, and I'm going to check here. Is the student setup notes? I'm either going to check it off that, yep, I've got all the student stuff set up. Yep, I've got all the teacher stuff set up. Teacher stuff again, the answer keys and all that. I knew I was missing something. I'm going to need that test binder over there. If you could grab that, please. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write notes for anything now that I still have not set up. Like I know, for instance, the art, I have not bought the supplies. Jamin's biology, I have not gotten the biology kit. So now I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritties, and I'm going to write notes on the stuff that I still need to get done before our school year starts, which is the day after Labor Day. So I use this one section per student, and that kind of keeps me on track. So that's why this is in front. Now I make a mess out of those and have to reprint. So I keep a family schedule, which is basically a combination of all the kids into one. Plus I have their individual schedules here. This is the stuff that I keep for my records. I have our homeschool calendar. Now this will go to the question on how I grade things. So I have a sheet, and I do the full year's worth. Let me show you this first. I do the full year's worth of lesson plans, and then I tailor them if I need to. I only print off for the kids a quarter at a time, but I do put the full year plan in with my records here. When I adapt them or change them, I don't print out a brand new one. I just want a basic idea for our records of what we were intending to do. So I do up one of these on a spreadsheet for each student. And I tailor it according to what they're using. So every student has these exact same things. Now what I do is I record, so I look through biology, and these are the tests or quizzes or whatever that's in there. This is where I'll record their grades. Now some things, like what he's using, English 1, his Bible, phys ed, logic has 5 quizzes in it, music, not all of them have quizzes and tests, and so I will give a letter grade based on their effort, their quality of work, how much they completed, did they stay on task, that sort of thing. Their handwriting, all those things might go into the letter grade that I assign. So I do one of these up in a spreadsheet. However, we are coming out with the packet. So I'm not sure, is there anything in there for them to record grades like this?
There's a progress report.
A progress report that cumulatively you can put in there. I think it's by semester, isn't it, that you can put a grade in?
Yeah.
So this is how I track. I just like to do all this stuff. I know it seems like a lot of work, but once you get your templates in there, it's not that hard because I work with Excel to do the spreadsheets.
And the other thing is, even though it's a little bit of work on the front end, because you spend a couple weeks working on it,
yes,
then the rest of the year, the school is almost on autopilot because you've done the work at the front end.
Yes. So if we get a little bit behind on our schedule, and I can show you a little bit if we have time, I don't know if we'll have time, on the spreadsheet. So what I can do is I can move a chunk down. So I can adjust if I need to, really easy on a spreadsheet. So if he doesn't get, say, this week's done, I can move the whole thing down on the spreadsheet and make adjustments. And that's why I only print off a quarter at a time for the kids to put on their bulletin boards, because life happens. And that's why I also build in a little padding in my schedule. So this binder is, again, mine. I keep that up here with all my records and the tests. Let me just do this before I jump over the test real quick. So at the end of the school year, I have mine split up. I have these big binders. I have the Arkansas years here. Over on my thing, I have the New York years. It just was a good place for me to split it. So I have a folder here where I keep a copy of my high school transcripts for the kids who have graduated and moved on. I like to keep at least a couple copies in addition to what I have on the computer, so that when they need one in a hurry, Mom, do you have my transcript? Just had that happen not too long ago with my one son. Boom, there it is. So I just pull out what was in the paperwork that was in here, and I haven't done it for last year yet. And so what I will do is I will just pull all the stuff that was in that binder out and just put it in here. So we have the calendar, we have their daily schedules, and all of that. This makes a really good record that if anybody ever on a legal level questioned our homeschool, I have these as a record. So this is not something that I would put in each student's permanent record, but it is something that I have available if I needed to.
And we have the cumulative record, which should be out hopefully by the end of this week, beginning of next week for certain, because we're making some fun last minute changes. Right. But that would serve as a basic,
right,
for that, so that they could put it in a binder and be able to pull it out and show, this is what we've done. I have some stuff like that.
I do like to keep, and I don't have a sample here, I do like to keep for my students an individual file that has their report card type reports, that sort of thing.
Now somebody asked, what age do you start officially doing this? You start it right at first grade.
I start at first grade. I don't do preschool and kindergarten. We kind of live life with preschool and kindergarten. We start in first grade. Now in Arkansas, I should back up. New York didn't require anything until first grade. Arkansas requires it in kindergarten. So it really depends on your desires and the laws in your state. One last binder.
We do that. We would recommend this, even if your state doesn't require it, that you keep a student record.
That you keep a student record.
And we even keep in boxes. We keep all their work.
We do. In underneath of that desk right there, I keep a tote. And throughout the year, I throw all their stuff into that tote. Now, if life were different, if I had my druthers, I would have it all separated out by kid. Each kid with their own tote. But I don't have the room for that, and so I just throw it all in. And one day I may go through them all and separate them out by kid. I don't know. But
families don't worry about this as much today. But when we started homeschooling, having CPS knock at your door because a neighbor reported you, or a family member reported you, so you wanted to always have some kind of records that if you were called into question, you could say, I'm educating my kids, here's proof of the education. So a lot of this is, it covers you if there's ever a question that you've done a good job. And that's why we would also recommend it. And the record kit will also help a family, give them at least some of the structure that you have. Not all of this.
Not all of it, but pick and choose. If there's something that makes sense to you, do that. If none of it makes sense, do your own, your own way of doing it. So this is my section for quizzes and tests. I like these. They're double-sided, and so I can each child has their name, all their quizzes and tests for each subject are in here. And this is just what really works. What I do is, life happens, it gets busy. If I am busy either working or with another student, or life is happening and I can't be there and my kid needs to take a test, I don't want them to fall behind, because that's happened before. So they are not allowed to be anywhere near my cabinets. So I don't want to keep those up there because I don't want my kids palm through my cabinets. So I keep it over there. It's in sight where I can see it. When they need a quiz or a test, they'll ask me, unless I'm not here available, but usually they ask me, and then I say, yep, go ahead, and then they can go and they can get their quizzes and tests themselves. So that's the last of the binder system. I just wanted to talk real quick before I get to the last part, which is my wonderful tools. So we're excited. I just want to give a shout out to the two Carries, Carrie Lindquist and Carrie Bailey. We are all so excited that these are landing in your hands, and they're just beautiful. So I just want to give a little shout out to the Carries because those are exciting. I've been asked...
Can I stop for a minute?
You can.
This book, Adventures in Creation, was designed by your daughter.
Yes.
And when it came to schooling, which one of your children gave you the hardest time?
That would be Carrie.
So, for anybody who has a strong-willed child, there's hope.
Yeah, this is the fruit of the hard work Carrie has put into life, the hard work we put in, and the work of the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pretty cool. People have asked me about dictionaries. I no longer have my young one. I just passed that off to Carrie to use with her boys. But this is the one I have. This is an intermediate one. I would recommend this as they get closer to maybe 5th, 6th grade. So you can see it's got, the number of words.
Since we're not posting a link and some of the images are blurry here, what's the name?
Yeah, I got this years ago. It's Intermediate Thorndike Barnhart Dictionary, Scott Forsman. Now, who knows the evolution and all that stuff in there, but this is what I use for my family. I also had a dictionary that was equally as big, but it had fewer words in it, and the letters were bigger and all of that. The fonts were all bigger, that I used for my first fourth graders ish. And so I do recommend, if you can, to get several levels of dictionaries. In addition, I have a regular dictionary that I use. I have the American Heritage Dictionary that I use for my high school students. And so if you possibly can afford it, I do recommend getting dictionaries that are meant for whatever level your student is at. So we have had those questions, so I wanted to just, that's what I use. Okay, so these are the bookends right now that I'm working on. This one is becoming Language Lesson 6. This one's becoming 1. This one is the second half of Foundations Phonics. It will become Language Lessons 1, but you want to use Foundations Phonics prior to doing this. So what you can do, you can either use Foundations Phonics in kindergarten and spread it out over the year, and then do this in first grade. We provide schedules for both. What we recommend, just so that, because a lot of kids will start reading and get discouraged because they're just not developmentally ready, we also do where you can use Foundations Phonics the first semester, Language Lessons 1 the second semester of first grade. That's going to remain the same. I haven't started on Basic Language Skills, turning it into Language Lessons 1 yet. I think all the same books are going to be used, but because I haven't started it yet, I can't really tell you on that for sure. So that's what's going on with that. Hoping to have this out by the end, Basic Language Skills out by, or I should say Language Lessons 1, out by the end of the calendar year, maybe at the start of the new year, 2020. This one is getting turned into Language Lesson 6. It's going to use the 10-minute Bible Journey by Dale Mason as its spine instead of this book, because this one's going out of print and we can't reprint them. So this one is very close to a designer starting on it, and I'm just finishing up the last quarter of spelling, but they're going to jump in and start designing it even before I finish the last of the spelling lessons. So we're making progress on that. So that's that. Now, this is my menagerie of tools that I love, that I use. So, some of it's scrapbooking. This is a...
you're going to have to describe it because some of the pictures are blurry.
Okay. This is a sticker maker. They come in all different sizes. For small laminating jobs, you can get laminating cartridges, or you can make stickers out of anything you want. So this is a super handy thing to have in the homeschool classroom. Just don't let your kids get a hold of it, because the cartridges are not exactly cheap, and I've had them ruin it by them cranking every which way, and suddenly your whole cartridge is destroyed because they've cranked on it. So I keep this out of reach of the kids.
And you can find that at, like, you could go to a Hobby Lobby or Joanne Fabric. Or...
Yep, and they sell them online. It is a Xyron, Xyron, Creative Station. Now, like I said, they come in a lot of sizes. Space is a big issue for me. So this one actually takes 2 sizes of cartridges, and they make them bigger than this too, but I just don't need anything bigger. I don't laminate. Instead of laminating, I either use the laminating cartridges if it's something small enough, or I use these pockets. So when people talk about the sleeves and putting your sheets into a sleeve, this is what they're talking about. And so that's what I do, and we use dry erase on these, especially for the math manipulatives. I just stick them in there, and then that student notebook, if they have something like that, I just put it in the student notebook.
That'd be available at Walmart, Office Supply Store, anywhere.
The brand of this one happens to be Avery. So love that. These you can get anywhere. You can get it in Office Supply, Walmart, wherever. I happen to buy them from Totally Tiffany because I buy stuff from Total Tiffany. So there's 2 sizes that you can get. You can get the smaller ones. These I use in my scrapbook stuff. And so normally there's like 3 things across here of different colors, but I'm almost out. So that's that. Love these. These are a lifesaver. So I love, this one's got a little smiley face. I try to get colors and fun ones instead of the standard black for use in my homeschool. So these are a staple in my homeschool. Love, love, love all of these types of things. So these are the command strips. I'm all out of the double-sided ones. Use those all over. I keep one box that's got various hooks and whatever, and then I keep one box that has stuff that I can put on the backs of posters and different things like that.
And those are awesome because every year you pretty much change the configuration to meet the needs of that year's students.
Yes. So right now I have their daily, each child, their daily schedule. Not only is it in their notebook, it's posted up on the side of their desk. That's posted up there with command strips. And so I can pull them down. So we talked about our handy dandy
box cutter.
Thank you. This is something that is, again, another scrapbook thing. So when we pulled out all of our stuff, it really worked so much better. The perfs were so much better. But I did have a couple that had some extra paper on there. And, I am that type A perfectionist person, so that bothers me. So this is what you can do, is you can use one of these. And again, these, Walmart may carry these, but any craft supply. This is a paper cutter. So I was able to take and trim off those excess pieces that didn't pull out quite clean. So love this. Also, look what I did. I just did a strip. So if you have manipulatives or whatever that have to be cut up, this is a great, great tool to have. Such a big time saver. Love this.
And again, Hobby Lobby, Joann,
yeah,
I think Walmart.
Yeah, this one's a Fiskars, but I have all different brands. I'm kind of because of my scrapbooking, I have them in all different sizes, forms, shapes, and I have more than this. Because sometimes I take people scrapbooking with me, so I like to have extras if they don't have their own supplies. So yes, you can get it at Walmart, whatever. They're extremely handy. Love this tool for that. Paper punch. I love having this paper punch. I suggest you go with as heavy duty as you can afford. I used to have an even heavier duty one back when we had our own business, and it broke, and I was sad, and I couldn't justify spending that much to get that heavy duty of one. But here's a little thing. Okay, when you scrapbook, you have punches. So they sell little kits for your punches. And so I'm not sure where this might have been from. No, this is EK, so I don't know where I got it. I was thinking maybe Creative Memories, but I don't think so. So a little thing of oil, if it's sticking, just be careful, make sure that you really get that oil off afterwards. But here's a little thing, and you don't have to have anything fancy. You can do your own. So tin foil sharpens punches. So you're just going to get a little tin foil and punch it. You can see that I did that with one was sticking, and so I punched it. Wax paper will help. The little bit of that wax, when you punch it, will coat it and make it a little smoother. Honestly, I don't know what this is. I think it might be a heavier duty wax. So it came in the kit, and you can hardly read it because the instructions are itsy bitsy. So I punch them. I put them all together and punch it at once. And I do use the oil if I absolutely need to. So that's a little tips and trick. Double-sided tape comes in very, very handy. I cannot tell you exactly how I've used it, but I know over the course of the school year, sometimes those projects that you don't really want to get glue out, double-sided tape. This one is Tombow, and this is, you can get it in removable or permanent adhesive. And you keep this side. This is the cartridge. You can get disposable cartridges. Because I scrapbook, I keep this stuff in bulk. I buy it in bulk, so it's cheaper. Of course, it's going to give me trouble. So they just snap back in, and there's a little cover if you want to use the cover. So they just run along like that, and you can glue whatever you want on top. You're good to go. Oops. Love that.
Way better than glue.
Way better than glue. Love that. They can be a little tricky to use, but they're fantastic. Sharpie markers. Why just have black? Oops, I dropped one. Why just have black? Love my colored Sharpie markers. But I also like the fine print ones. The ones that do the fine lines. Not fine print, fine lines. So I like having combination book. These actually belong to my daughter, Joy. They're kind of left over from scrapbooking stuff. Okay, 2 more things. I think I got this at Christian Book Distributors. This is a little sticky tab thing of scriptures. And so it's got the, just the little thing like we're used to on Post-it notes, except for it's a scripture. So eventually, the stick wears off. I just toss them, and then I'll go around the classroom and just replace them. And they're all different. I don't even look at the scriptures. I figure whatever is there, I just pull it out, slap it on, pull it up, slap it on. And the kids got a brand new scripture to look at their desk. So love that little thing. This is something that I pull out constantly. This is the HSLDA guide for high school students. You can get this on their website. You can print it out. But I will go to the homeschool conferences, look for their booths so that I can get this little book. And it has all the information in it on transcripts. So it's got a sample transcript. It has what types of diplomas, what they recommend for a general, for college bound, for Ivy League. I'm trying to find the page that has their recommendations. So this is constantly coming out if I have a question about what they should be doing. Oh, here it is, the sample high school plan. So in my thing, which I should have, I can't see it. Okay. In my binder, his thing is blurry. His phone is coming up blurry. So in my binder, I have a spreadsheet with a high school plan. It really is like this, except it's in a spreadsheet form. And what it does is, okay, so it says English. Let's go to General College Prep, English. They suggest 4 credits, and then they list possible courses. Math, 3 to 4, and the courses they recommend, and on it goes. And so it just breaks it all down. And then what I do on my spreadsheet is I put all this information in, and then I put on there what years we're planning to cover these particular things, and then what curriculum I'm planning to use. And so I build on it, change it, tweak it every single year. So that's something that I do to plan all 4 years of my high school students' education. That way I don't get to year 4 and realize, oh, we don't have enough math credits or whatever. So I'm not taken by surprise. Can always change it, but at least I have a plan in place. So that's that.
One of the hacks is we are members of HSLDA.
Yes, we've been members of HSLDA since we originally started homeschooling, and we make that a priority of keeping our membership current, because I have had in New York, I've had to call and ask questions because sometimes the school district will require things that they're not allowed to require. So I've had some questions that I've called in on. But even if I never use their services, they do so much to protect our freedom that I feel like we've still gotten our money's worth out of it, regardless.
And then you're very organized and perfectionist. What about the mom who's not? Just address that as we close.
For that mom, pick and choose. what things would be most helpful if you were organized. And so what I would recommend, I take classes on organizations for scrapbook stuff. And in that, what we do is we focus in on one thing at a time. And so what I would recommend is you focus in on one area at a time. So if you don't have a good system for your basic student records, focus on that. That's really important. So focus in on that for this year. And then next year, add something. So you're not so overwhelmed by looking at all of this and saying, I can't even begin to do that. No, you can't, because this is years worth of spreadsheets and creations. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. And so I have my systems, I have if I had to sit down today and create all this, it would be completely overwhelming. And so just start with one thing and build on it from there. Get that in place, see how it works over the course of the year. When you start the new school year up, fine tune that and then focus on something else. Soon you're going to be 5-6 years down the road into this homeschool thing, and you'll be amazed at the different areas that you've organized. And some things will fall into disorganization. So when you start a new school year, shore that up and then move into something that you're going to focus on new. So that would be my recommendation. And this is the cleanest you're ever going to see my schoolroom. It's a battle to keep things going. And so this year, knowing tomorrow's my last chemo treatment, and so I'm really under the gun because we start school the day after Labor Day, and I'm going to feel junky for about a week and a half. So I've got to get everything in place so my kids can just kind of start whether I'm ready to start or not. And so that's what's going to happen here. I'm also looking at surgery. And so because this is the way that I've done this for so many years, even though I'm going to be distracted, and my kids, they'll try to get away with stuff. They won't do their best work this first quarter of school. I can guarantee it, because there's a saying that somebody once said early on, and I don't know who to credit, but it was, you get what you inspect, not what you expect. And so if we're not looking at what our kids are doing each and every day, they're going to slack. And so I'm expecting that. So I'm being realistic in my expectations of this quarter, but at the same time, there's no reason why they can't just be doing their schoolwork, because my youngest is going into 5th grade. There's no reason why they can't continue and do their schoolwork whether I'm right here or not. Okay, so he's giving me we're ready to end, so we're good. No more questions.
Nope.
So we are excited here at Master Books. It's a busy time of year. We are so thankful for all of you, and it has been such an exciting journey to see not only Master Books just blow it out of the water with the number of courses we've put out and just so many exciting projects, but it's a blast getting to see the families using the materials, kids being excited about school. We get not every kid is going to be excited to start school, and that's okay. My kids, they would rather swim all summer and not have that end. And so, but we can take a lot of joy seeing all these kids, and so we're just loving it. It's fantastic.
A lot of people praying for you.
Oh, thank you, and I do appreciate your prayers. Last chemo, MRI next week, appointment with the surgeon the following week. So we're probably planning surgery early October, and probably radiation in November. So appreciate your prayers. All right, well, thank you all. Thanks for joining me in my schoolroom, and you all have a fantastic school year.